So I'm here in my shed, and what I'll be working on today is creating a shelf that will go just above my workbench, right over there, inside those studs. So what I did is I cut a piece of T-111 to length, and you can notice I marked the areas where I'm going to cut out for the studs. Right here, here. So essentially what this is going to do, it's going to sit right above my workbench, and it's going to insert into the studs once I cut out those rectangles. So what I'm using so that I get this level is about a 40-inch piece of 2x4, and what I'm going to do is just place the 2x4 next to the stud that I'll be working on. I'll then put some of these cleats up. We'll have one cleat on each side of the stud. So these are 3 inches high, and so the cleat will go right in here, so I know I'm at the right height, and I'm just going to use my nail gun and secure them. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, and that stud, and that stud, and the stud at the end. So first thing I have to do is to cut out these rectangles so that I can slide them right into the studs, so that this whole bench will be flush against the wall of my shed. So I'm here outside. I just secured the piece of T-111 on a sawhorse so that I can do my cuts with my jigsaw, which is right here. So I'm not going to video the cuts themselves because I'm here on my own, and I have no one to hold the camera outside. So I'm just going to do all the cuts and then show you the results, and then head inside and secure the cleats and then secure the actual shelf. So I just finished making all of the cuts. There were 4 cuts for the studs. I think they should fit fine. So now I'm going to actually take off this piece of T-111, bring it in, and check for my fit. One thing I overlooked was that there's already a stud in this corner, so I need to cut off an additional 1.5 inches so that this will be flush here and everything else will follow in line. So I'm just going to cut 1.5 inches off of the end of this section here so everything will fit snug. So I'm just going to cut this, which is 1.5 inches from here to here, so that it'll push in properly into the stud. So now you can see where this is going to abut the 2x4 that's in the corner of my shed, and now this should fit in snugly into the stud, and all the rest will follow through. So now you can see how snugly this fits in the corner. This is only a dry fit. This isn't even with my cleats on there yet, and it's a little higher than I really want it. But I just wanted to see that everything does line up nicely, and it is snug against the wall. Not perfect, but that wall bows a little bit, but it's going to be perfect for my needs. Now I'm going to put in my cleats, which will be right above here, and you can see that shelf is going to come down. And then as soon as I fasten the cleats, these cleats here, I'm going to bring the shelf down, and I'm going to fasten from the top You'll see in a moment. So this is my 2x4 I'm going to use so that I get the perfect height that I want. So I'm going to start at this corner, and I'm just going to secure this 2x4 with a clamp right here, and then I'll start nailing in the cleats right here. Okay, so here's my 2x4, my height 2x4, and I just clamped it with a clamp, woodworking clamp. So now what I can do is I can start securing these studs, these cleats, which is what the actual shelf will sit on top of, so that everything is perfectly at the perfect height all the way down. You have to make sure that your shed floor is level, and I did to start. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to double up. I'm going to put 2 here because it's at the very end. So let me start with my, I'm just going to use my brad nailer for now, and I can secure it more with screws later if I want to. So I'm just going to use my brad nailer. Okay. If you don't have a brad nailer, you should go out and purchase one. You just need a small compressor. This works perfect. I think I paid $1.99 for this maybe 10 years ago, and I've used it countless times. The actual brads, I think, are 1 3/4 inch length. So now I'm gonna secure this other one. And I may later on put some screws in here, but I don't think I need to. I'll just put a couple more brads. There we go. All right, so I have 2 here. Now I'm just going to take off this clamp and move my spacer. This is I mean, you could have done a number of different ways. You could have run a laser level going across and make marks, but this is what I came up with for the easiest way to get the perfect height for the cleats. So let me secure this with the clamp. Okay, so I'm ready to secure another cleat. I'm going to do 1 on either side now, instead of the 2 that I have at the end here. So just use my brad nailer again. Pretty solid. I'll just put 1 more. Alright. So I have that one on, which looks good. Now let me just take off this, remove this clamp to get my hand in there. Okay. Now I'm just going to move my 2x4 down. This prevented me from having to move out my my workbench, which is pretty heavy. So I'm going to clamp this up now. Okay, so I just secured the spacer again, the measuring 2x4, and I'm just going to put some brad nails in here. So I just put in those 2 cleats right there. I got the 2 at the end. Now I just secured my spacer 2x4. I'm going to put in my next cleat. One issue I ran into is right here where the studs are closer together. I had to just angle the gun and left them exposed a little bit, and I can just use a hammer to hammer them in. It's no problem. Did the same with the ones above. So you always run into some issues and you try to figure out a way to resolve them. And so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cleats in now. Now I'm going to move over, do these two, one there, and then at the end I'm going to build up 3 of them together in a block so that we can secure it nice in the corner. I think I just might use 2 in hindsight. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to secure one here, and then we're going to put a couple over here. So I'm going to move my clamp over. So here's the second to last set. So now the last thing I'm doing is I'm going to put a couple of blocks over here, this direction. But first I want to move over my last, my spacer 2x4. Right here I can just put the whole 2x4, snug it in. That'll be the proper height. I don't have to clamp it. And I'm just going to put in a couple of blocks, one at a time. Make sure that's at the right height. These all have to be the same height, and I made them all 3 inches high, so that lines up with that. That's good. So I'm going to put this one in first with my brad nailer. I'm getting low on the nails. Let's put this one in first. So now we've got all our cleats in. They should be all at the same exact height. If I did all this properly. Now we're just going to take my shelf that I cut out earlier and place it right on top of those cleats. So let me do that now. So here's my shelf. I haven't secured it from the top yet down into the cleats. That's exactly what I wanted, was a place to put all types of things like screws and any type of woodworking paraphernalia. And you can see the cleats are underneath there. They're pretty flush. They'll be perfectly flush right there. It's a little bit up. As soon as I put a couple of brads down, it'll work fine. So let's just secure the unit. Okay, so that's, I put a couple more there because I have 2 cleats. So that's, as you can see, that's secure right there. I'm going to do the same thing all the way down here. I'm going to put a couple of brads there, over there, and at the very end. So let me do that, and then we'll come back and just make sure it's all leveled up. So I wanted to check the level before I secured everything. And you can see it's almost smack dab in the middle. So I'm just going to secure all of the cleats now, all of the back of the shelf into the cleats, and then start loading it up. So everything's secure. So there's one I just covered up. Actually looks nicer that way. And now I'm going to put a couple of nails going down just into that section as well. Just that actually will stabilize it as well. Just give it more support. Can't hurt. So I'll do the same over to those two as well. Okay, so I just kind of framed those out as well. I'm not going to do anything down here or down there for now. I could actually add a little piece of plywood to cover that up, but I think it looks fine. Now I just want to secure the tops of these two. Just another thing to grab onto and for more support. So, I mean, this is very solid. What I plan on doing is putting a lot of, I have a lot of boxes of screws that I need to put somewhere. Here's just one final look of the shelf. The in-stud built-in shelving in my shed before I load it up. And just a quick look underneath. It looks pretty neat and clean. It's fine for a shed. It does go all the way to the wall. Maybe there's an 1/8 of an inch in the back. Doesn't matter. But it's solid as a rock. It's level. It's exactly what I wanted. It's not out too far, so it'll get in my way when I'm working at my workbench. So I guess I could have come out another inch or so, but that's plenty deep for me. And so now, next time you see it, it'll be all loaded up. So here's my my shelf loaded up. You can see I'm able to put a lot of different things in here. I got a bunch of boxes of screws. I got some ties, staplers, just anything I need here out in the shed for woodworking. My speed square, which is my go-to woodworking tool. So it looks really nice, and I'm very happy with how it came out. It looks great, fine underneath. It's solid as a rock. It's not going anywhere. You notice I put most of the heavy things in the back. I still have room on here to, I can actually move all of these out and hang them up and then have more space on the front. But for the time being, I took a lot of stuff that was on my workbench and moved them off. So it's looking good. Very happy with how it came out. And now I'm going to do some more cleaning up of my shed. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope maybe if you have a similar situation in your shed where you want to put in some built-in stud shelving, you can use my design. Because I think it works great and it's not going anywhere. So appreciate it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And hope you enjoyed this video.